Hello, what is up? It's me again, and it's time for our Christmas episode. I'm actually in Seattle with my family, so you might hear some family noises in the background, so sorry about that. But I'm coming at you with my Giftmas list, because it's a Gifts Ungiven deck. So I guess first I should describe the core of the deck, and that is this card right here, Gifts Ungiven. It's a 4-drop instant, so most of the time you turn 4, pass the turn, and do it on the end of their turn if you didn't need to respond to anything. But you search your library for up to 4 cards. That's important, up to 4. With different names, reveal them, and then target opponent chooses 2 of them. Put those 2 into your graveyard and the rest into your hand. So if you choose only 2 cards, then they choose those 2 cards and they go into your graveyard. They can't not choose those cards. So basically, the most common use for this is you tap 4, put 2 cards in your graveyard. One of those cards would be Burial Rites, which is a sorcery with flashback cost 3 and a white, and you return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, plus one of your creatures. So like Elesh Norn, Grave Titan, Iona, probably not Snapcaster Mage. So one of these 3 guys. So what Elesh Norn does is, this is probably the main one that you'll do unless there's some sort of situational thing that you need to address. And it gives all your other creatures +2/+2, and all creatures your opponents control -2/-2. It's also got Vigilance. Now this is really devastating when you've got like a Celestial Colonnade out, or even one of these other creatures, or Snapcaster Mage even. I mean, that's a 4/3. Yeah, it's dumb. It's it's way too strong. So that's basically what the deck does, and then everything else in the deck is kind of just one-ofs that you can grab with Gifts Ungiven, because it is just cards. So you can. That's why there's a lot of these one-of lands. Here, actually, we'll just start with the lands. So I'll talk about some of the interesting lands that you can grab with Gifts Ungiven. You can also just grab 4 cards and then give them a really tough choice in what to put into your graveyard. I mean, if you grab Unburial Rites plus like all 3 of these creatures, and you have 5 mana, then that means that you get 2 of these creatures back, or just one of the. I mean, Gifts Ungiven is a really complicated deck because you have to give them you have to come up with the hard choice to give them, but then they have to solve the hard choice, Anyway, so let's start off with the lands, some of the one-of lands. So we've got an Academy Ruins in here. It's a legendary land, which is fine. You tap 1 in a blue, tap that to put target artifact from your graveyard on top of your library. Now this is important because if they decide to put so we have 2 artifacts, which is Batterskull, which is 5-drop living weapon, which means it comes in attached to a 0/0 germed creature token. It has +4/+4 and lifelink and vigilance as well. The other stuff doesn't quite matter. You play this as a creature, sort of. And then also Engineered Explosives, which has Sunburst, and then you can tap 2 to sacrifice it and destroy each non-land permanent with converted mana cost equal to the number of charge counters on Engineered Explosives. Sunburst just means the number of colors, so we can have it up to 4, but a lot of the times Engineered Explosives is played against decks like Twin, because the copies have no converted mana cost, so you can play it for 0, and then you have a card that says tap 2 to stop the Twin combo. So anyways, Academy Ruins is good for getting either of those back into your hand, because it'll put it back onto the top and then you'll draw it and blah 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 blah. Celestial Colonnade is the next interesting one. It's a what we call creature lands. So you can tap 5 and turn it into a 4/4 flying vigilance, which if Elesh Norn is out, it's a 6/6 flying, which is ridiculous. It's incredibly good. We've also got Creeping Tar Pit. For 3, it becomes a 3/2 unblockable, which is almost better than the Celestial Colonnade, because, I mean, if they have flying creatures, then they can still block, but this becomes a 5/4, almost as much as 6. So also very good. Ghost Quarter, tap, they destroy target land, then they put a basic land into play. Now this has a really good interaction with Life from the Loam, which says return up to 3 target lands from your graveyard to your hand. It also has Dredge 3, so if you would draw a card, you can instead put that card into your hand and then mill 3 from your deck. Really, really good because we have Ghost Quarter in here, and we also have Tectonic Edge, which is similar to Ghost Quarter, but they have to have 4 lands in play, and then they don't search for a land afterwards. They have both their ups and downs, but also this way you can grab it back. And then some shock lands, some fetch lands. Urborg is in here just to help with the color fixing. It says that all lands are swamps in addition to other types, so they can tap for black. And that's about it for interesting lands. So what makes this deck different than a normal Gifts Ungiven deck is a new card printed in Battle for Zendikar, Bring to Light. Before I continue, this deck was brought to you by the people at Channel Fireball and also Luis Scott Vargas. They both made Bring to Light Gifts Ungiven decks that I've pulled from and kind of cobbled together to make this. This is, yeah, so yeah, that's what this is. I'm not going to claim to have done this. This is a very complicated deck, and I don't quite have the capacity or skill to build something like this effectively. But anyways, Bring to Light. So it has the mechanic Coverage, which means depending on the number of colors you spent to cast this, so you can spend up to 5 because it costs 5, you may search your library for a creature, instant, or sorcery with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of colors that you spent, and then you can cast it. So effectively we have 4 Gifts Ungiven, and this is a 4-drop. Effectively we have 7 Gifts Ungiven, although 3 of them cost 5 mana of 4 colors, if that makes sense. Like 1 colorless, blue, white, green, black. And then it says go find a gifts and cast it. Now you can cast anything else in this deck with Bring to Light, so it makes it extra good. And I mean, you'll be taking a lot of life, but 4 colors is actually not too hard in this deck. But very good card. Next we have Damnation. We can search this up with Bring to Light, and it says destroy all creatures that can't be regenerated. Very, very good. It's the Black Wrath. Next we have 2 Inquisitions of Kozilek. This is just to keep ourselves alive until we get to turn 4, because we have no ramp. We have no acceleration. There's no way we can get 2 gifts but for turn 4. So this is just to help us keep ourselves alive. We already talked about Life of the Loam. Lingering Souls. Now this is our alternate win condition. If we don't draw into gifts, we can at least draw into this. But it also has flashback, so it can be part of our gifts package. That's just what it's called when you give them the 4 cards. You're giving them the gift of a really tough choice. So it also has flashback, so that that really helps, because if they put it in your graveyard, then you still cast it. Anyways, so there's a 1 Maelstrom Pulse, just because it's a great card. It's like Abrupt Decay, but a little bit better at sorcery speed. It just destroys target non-land permanent and all other permanents with the same name as it. So this also, I mean, it would kill, I guess, if you targeted their, well, I don't want to say that, because there's no way that a twin player would have a, Deceiver X or a Pestromite out without just winning right there. With a Splinter Twin attached to it. Anyways, this is good for against Affinity decks or like really redundant decks, like Living End plays a lot of the same creatures and such like that. Anyways, next we got one of Raven Crime. Now this is Raven Crime, excuse me. This is just a black, target player discards a card, but it's got Retrace. So if it's in your graveyard, you can discard a land card and then tap a black to cast it again, which is really good. Now it sounds kind of bad because you're discarding lands, but think about it this way. If you are top decking and this is in your graveyard, top decking a land is probably the worst thing that you could do when you're down to top decking. But now when you top deck a land, it's a Raven's Crime, if you think about it that way. And then you can also Life from the Loam to get more lands in your hand if you need to do that, because it doesn't exile it once you retrace it. You can just keep doing it over and over and over again. So very, very good card. 2 Thoughtseize, of course, to go with our Inquisitions of Kozilek, just because they can hit things that the Inquisition can't. But the Inquisitions are in here to save us a little bit of life, because we will be taking a lot of our own life with the 4 colors. Great card. I've talked a lot about this card. If you're running black, you probably need either Inquisition or Thoughtseize in there, because that is the one drop black card. But it is 4 colors, so it's hard to add in all those 1 drop color cards that are needed in the, what am I saying? Anyways, Unburial Rites, it is a sorcery. Basically, you'll want to Gifts on their turn, on the end of their turn, and then untap with 4 mana and Unburial Rites your Elesh Norn out. Oh, whoops, I didn't talk about the other creatures. I just talked about Elesh Norn and moved on. So Grave Titan is a 6/6 Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, you put 2/2 black zombies onto the field. So this interacts extremely well with Elesh Norn. It's like the other Titans. It's a 6/6. When it enters in the battlefield or attacks, it does something. But the reason we're running this one and not like Primeval Titan is because of its interaction with Elesh Norn. We want to be able to win the turn, or if we untap with it, meaning we've played it and then it doesn't have Summoning Sickness. We want to be able to win that turn, basically. Then Iona, really stanky card. It's a 7/7 flying, and then when it enters the battlefield, you choose a color. Your opponents can't cast spells of that chosen color. That's really strong against most decks. Now you most of the time you want to do this against monocolor or 2-color decks. But if you know that there's a card in their deck, like Ad Nauseam, you can name black, or Living End, you can name black, or what have you, and that'll just shut down the deck. And then finally 2 Snapcaster Mage, because we have so many 1-ofs, we want to be able to reuse the things that we have. And what it says is it's a 2-drop flash. When it enters the battlefield, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn, and then the flashback is equal to its mana cost. So you can Monolink twice, or Gifts Ungiven again, or whatever you need to do. Alright, instance. Abrupt Decay, great card, black and a green. Can't be countered. Destroy target non-land permanent with converting loss. Oh my god. Ooh, buddy. Destroy target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 3 or less. This is great because turn 3 is really important for most decks. They'll be playing 3 drops or 2 drops that are really crucial to their deck. And it's instant speed, so you can deal with Twin, because all of their untapped guys, their Pestermites and Deceiver Exarchs, those are 3 drops. A lot of really important 3 drops in Modern, so very good card. Gifts Ungiven we talked about. Monolink is just a 2-drop counterspell unless they play 3. Very good. This is an early game card. Now, in the video to come, I'm going to talk about how it's a late game card, but I want you to remember that I'm drunk and don't know what I'm talking about. This is an early game card. Next is Path to Exile. Great card. Again, the white 1-drop that you want to have. Exile target creature, and then they search for a basic land and put it in play tapped. Just instant speed removal is great to have for most any matchup. That's why it's so good. And then finally, Slaughter Pact. This is just in case we need to. We've tapped out for Gifts Ungiven, and then in response they do something, or we tapped out for Unburial Rites, or whatever reason that we're untapped. This allows us to have the delayed cost allows us to deal with something when we're tapped out, of course. But it's just a 1-of, so you maybe grab it off of Gifts, but probably not. It's just good when you draw it, and it's fine if you don't. Finally, Batterskull, Engineer, Explosive. I talked about those. Now I did make a sideboard for this. I generally we generally make sideboards for the matchup ones so that we have some sideboarding to do. So I'll just talk a little bit about some of the interesting ones, or the ones that aren't already in the deck, because this is just for redundancy. Aven Mindsetter is really good. The flash allows you to, if they so it says if an opponent would search their library, they search the top 4 cards instead. So if they crack their fetch land, in response you can flash this in, and then they only search the top 4. It's, yeah, this is kind of probably in here because this is maybe made. Oh no, Pod was banned. This was really good when Pod was around. This was a $20 card when Birthing Pod was still a deck, but it got banned out, so it went down in price a lot. But still a very good card. Baneslayer Angel. Now, we talked about this in the video upcoming. I don't want to ruin too much, but this is a card that I think LSV, Luis Scott Vargas, really likes, and that's why it's in here. It's not really a very good sideboard card, but it's a cool card, and that's why I think it's in here. Dark Blast is a really interesting card. Dredge is okay in this deck because, you got Burial Rights, and if you dredge away lands, that's fine as well. Yeah, or if you dredge away, there's cards that are fine to be in the graveyard. So this is fine to have, and it's great to kill Moth Monodorks, or kill off Pestermites, or whatever whatever you need to kill off. That's just a 1/1. Or if you need a, it's versatile, and you could get it back from your graveyard if you need it. So that's why it's in the sideboard. It's not good enough to be in the main board, but it's fun to have. We got 3 Duress in here so that we can replace our Thoughtseize or Inquisition of Kozilek if we know what type of deck they're playing. If it's a non-creature heavy deck, then it's definitely worth running this instead of Thoughtseize, because why take the 2 life? More Lingering Souls for redundancy. Rule of Law. This is interesting. It just, each player can't play more than 1 spell each turn. This shuts down a lot of combo decks like Ad Nauseam and Living End that need to be able to play a bunch of spells all at once. And if you have this out, it doesn't really bother you because you just Gifts on the end of their turn, and then Unburial Rights on your turn. So yeah, easy. Spellskite, great sideboard card for anything. You just pay a Phyrexian life or blue, Phyrexian mana, I should say. And then you just change the target spell or ability to Spellskite. This shuts down Twin. This shuts down Infect. This shuts down Boggle. Shuts down Burn. Yeah, this is a pretty necessary sideboard card in most decks. Stony Silence. This is for against Affinity because it says activated abilities of artifacts can be activated. Pretty simple. Yeah, the end. Supreme Verdict is another board wipe. You can bring in Supreme Verdict, and then with a gifts package, show them Damnation and Supreme Verdict, and then Maelstrom Pulse and like Abrupt Decay, or like Engineered Explosives, and they won't know what to do because all of those things are bad for them to have, but you get 2 of them anyway. Yeah, just it says can be countered, destroy all creatures. Timely Reinforcements. Now this is a really interesting card. I'm not really sure necessarily what. You would bring it in against the burn matchup, and you would bring it in against creature heavy decks, I guess. It says if you have less life than your opponent, gain 6 life. If you have fewer creatures, you put 3 1/1 white soldier creatures tokens. 1/1 white soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield. Man, a lot of S noises. So this is really good with Elesh Norn, of course, because that's 3 3/3s. That's 9 damage on the board. I guess you would bring it, yeah, against the burn matchup. It's really good. I don't know. It's a versatile card, and it belongs in the sideboard definitely, because it's conditional, but it can be like game changing. And then finally we've got a Torpor Orb. This is says creatures entering the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger. This is really good against decks that play Primeval Titan, This is also really good against decks that play Deceiver Exarch, so Twin. This stops Twin. Yeah, that's all you need to know. If it stops Twin, then it's probably worth putting in the sideboard. Whew, man, there's a lot of one-ofs in here. A lot of talking. But I really hope you like the deck. It's really kind of expensive. You can see just because there's so many one-ofs, and 4-color is always going to be expensive in Modern. Yeah, it was a fun deck to play, and I hope you like the videos that are to come. If you like this video, drop a like. If you have any suggestions for decks that you want to see in the future, or any suggestions for this deck, let me know. This was a tough deck to play, especially while being drunk. I'm sure I made a number of misplays. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.